So this is great. I love that they have you go into JS Fiddle because one, you don't need to be logged in. Yes. Two, it's a combination. So this actually lets you do CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. So even though we're talking about HTML, this is in the HTML unit. If I pump this up, okay. You can see here, look, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. They're very intertwined. They're very connected. And that's why I thought it would make sense to just teach HTML and CSS together. It really doesn't make sense to teach them separately. They're never going to be used separately. It'd be like teaching you how to make peanut butter toast and then jelly toast, and then like teaching you how to combine them rather than just teaching you how to do it from the get-go. So yeah, if I do, let's see, document.get element by, we have classes by class, heyo, heyo, hello dot inner text. Do I do equals on that? No. Inner text. No. Is there a run? Yeah. It's not gonna like that. Okay. I was just messing around down here. So that's DOM, real quick. I'll show you this guy. I'll show you this method as well. So if we go to W3 schools and we scroll down right here, HTML DOM. This is what DOM manipulation is. It's what it's talking about. It's document object manipulation. So it's a HTML document. We're going to treat it as a JavaScript object and we're going to manipulate it with JavaScript. So that's what that means, broken down. Let's see. DOM document is what we're looking for. So add event listener, this would be if you wanted to have it so when you click on a button, it does something really cool with JavaScript. You can do this with HTML and CSS, but it's definitely not as verbose and it's definitely not as easy. I am trying to do get elements. Oh, okay, so let's do get element by ID. So if I click on this, just like I was typing, right? Oh, and I guess I don't need the dot. So we're just going to assign a variable to this. The getElementById method returns the element that has the ID attribute with the specified value. So it's just that easy. If I could remember how to open my console. If I come in here, I can actually just do this in this page. This says, let's click on this. It's going to pull it into value. Let's do this, and then I will click on here. It's an H1. Does it have an ID? No, but it has a class. So let's grab that class. Color H1. Document dot get class. What was it? I should know this. Get classes by, no, get elements by classing, yes. Color underscore H1. There we go. We have autocomplete already telling us I'm grabbing a span, which is an HTML element that just simply means it's a space for text, and that it's the class of color H1. And then if I do 0, we just have the span. So now we're outside of the, I do var tester equals that. And then I can do tester dot, maybe it needs a inner value. Doesn't want to do that. Okay. Color equals green. Did it? Oh, I just should be able to just go up. Did not work. Class is color H1. Let me just double check I'm using that correctly. But this is what you guys are going to be doing in the last week. You're going to be looking at these. You're going to be using these a lot. Get elements by whatever. Let's see. What are some other really common ones? Create element you might use a lot. That's simply just creating HTML elements. Elements are what are in between the carets. So here's one caret, right, on the left. And then to close it off on the right. That's an HTML element. This would be an HTML body element. This would be an HTML head element. This would be a div element. They're all called elements in HTML. For all intents and purposes, they're just whatever is in between the carets, though. So document.getElements by class name example, which returns an array, right? The index starts at 0. Okay. Color H1, H. Var equals let's do color. So no color is very easy. If this doesn't work, okay. But we can use that over here in CodePen. So just to preface again, I got here by opening up the HTML lesson, and in the first one we have JS Fiddle. So in here, when you open it, you'll see a bunch of HTML elements, and then we can use documents, so it's get elements by class, and you don't need the modifier. So I just added this class here. We don't need that. If I did class equals heyo here and then ran that, oh. I think I'm calling a method when I should be making equals. It's been a really long time since I've done DOM because I usually use a framework these days. But if you ever forget or you don't know what a DOM method does, you just come on over here. And so what I'm trying to do right now, you may have noticed we don't necessarily have anything that says inner text or value. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to change the CSS on these elements. So here's all these elements again. Let's see. I'm trying to change an A tag, which is short for anchor. Anchor tag can also be considered a link. Anchor object, get element by ID, cool. Creating an element. So the properties are the different things that you can assign or manipulate using DOM. So in here, ideally would be where I would see inner text or value. So here's text. So I should have been doing text. Hello.text equals schmo. No? Okay. Oh. Because that's not the text. Okay. Hello at 0.text. I still have to say that because I'm grabbing this one. So I'm actually working on a different element now. I realized that I was trying to mess around with this A, which all this A is doing is it's hyperlinking this span. So the span is what's actually generating this text that says home. But if you look in the bottom left corner, it says fiddle, and that's because right here it says /home. Right here it says /home as well. So whatever your current directory is, now there's kind of some magic going on behind the scenes here, but essentially whatever your current URL is, if there's an anchor tag, it appends that to the end of your URL. So that's why when I scroll over home, we see the anchor of fiddle.jshell.net, but that /home is coming strictly from this anchor tag. And that's how like a lot of links work on the web as well. There is also a link element. They are slightly different in very minute ways, but there is a link tag as well. Not supported in HTML5. Right now, we are on HTML5 and CSS3. So that's why it's saying that. That's the current version that we're on, and we have been on that one for a while. I did not expect to struggle this much. Get elements by class name. Feel free to shoot up some questions now too, guys. If you're struggling with a function or something like that, now's the time. Otherwise, I'm going to, once we're done here, send all your usernames again to the administrators, and then tomorrow we can get started with all the checkpoints in Node and stuff like that. It's just hard right now since you guys don't have access to that. But we're working on it. Let me see. Document. Oops. Document. Get elements by class name. Oh, it's a span. Get elements by class name. It's a span. Why you're not doing it? Background color, black. If I run that, does that work? It does. Okay. What the heck? Yeah, so this is CSS over here. You'll come to find the more you get familiar with it, it's really self-explanatory. I mean, you can kind of already see what I'm doing here. So I made the background black, made the text color green. What else we can do? We can add margins of 50%. This is probably going to break everything. There we go. All of these will make more sense in the future as we start to talk about CSS and stuff. But really, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. And really what it's meant to do is style your HTML sheets, documents, pages in a very nice, easy to read format. And I mentioned this before, but you can see the CSS on any page by simply opening up the inspector again. You'll see this on almost every web page. It's like professional. This is essentially like an import of Apple and Google's fonts. It's probably sending me Apple specifically because I'm on an Apple, but I know when I'm on my home PC, it sends me different Google fonts. Then we have the background. This is just the hex code for the color. If you don't know what hex codes are, they're for colors. What do you know? HTML. All I typed in was hex code. These are hex codes. So in case you're wondering what the heck that was, if I go back, if I can remember, right here, background. Why does background have this weird string? Because it's a hex. How do we know it's a hex? Because I can come here and right in this hex field, it has almost the exact same looking string, right? So these have a structure. It goes from like hashtag 00000F all the way to like hashtag FFFF or something like that. Let me see if I can't find a table so you can see what I'm talking about. Hex code table. Not ASCII. Well, let's see. ASCII. Nope. Well, not going to waste too much time on that. But in case you ever see something like this and you're like, why the heck are they setting the background to some weird looking string? It's a color. Padding is 0. Padding, if I increase this to 50%, you'll see that it starts to push things. And now you see when I scroll over this, it all turns green. But if I erase this, now it's not green. That green was part of the padding. Now if I scroll down, you can see the theoretical padding where it would be if it did exist. So most containers are going to be consistent of this border. So I'll even show you. Let's find a good element right there. I like that one. So let's go down. Looks like we could just throw in right here. So if I do border, solid, green, 1 pixel, it put it out. Inherited from body. Oh, I think I need to do this one. So if I do, what was I trying to do? The border. Border equals green, solid 1 pixel. Oh, I'm grabbing the wrong thing. So you can see what it's starting to do. It's literally putting a border around everything. Let me change this to like pink. Okay, so it looks like the green is probably from me messing around with other stuff. Up here is what's changing. That's why I tested pink, just to make sure I knew what I was talking about. So why am I showing you the border? Because that, in the context of this picture, will help you understand what I'm talking about. So I just put a border around the container. But the border is what the actual container is. Inside, now let's say you have a container of apples. If you wanted to pad those apples, you would add more padding on the inside of the container, right? But that would mean there's less space for more apples. So you can conceptualize it this way. This person decided to have 14 long, so these numbers are pixels. You may have heard like 1080 by 1920. That's essentially what you're looking at here. This is 300 pixels by 114 pixels. So the person that created this website decided to have a padding of 14 pixels all around this container. And you can see the result of this a little bit. If I scroll over this, you see that green box that shows up on the right? That's inside of this container. So if I added a border to this element over here on the right, the one that I probably messed up by screwing around with all the CSS, that would be inside of this element. The adverse is margins. So padding is like when you have a container and you want to put apples in there, you pad it to make them come together and reduce the amount of space. Margins are when you want everything else to stay away from it. So if you made, if I select like anything and made the margin 100, it would probably break the page, because that means that that one element then gets 100% of the screen spaces, essentially. I do not want to look anything up. Yeah. Thanks. What's it called? This one? Did I spell it wrong? RAPID. Online Notepad Line Graph Maker. RGB color codes. Here we go. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, this is what I was talking about. So white is F all the way across, and then all the way black is 0. And then there's like the spectrum in between each one. Yeah, thank you. So you can kind of look through this and get an idea. Like dark red is 8B, just maroon is 8. Firebrick B 222222. You're never going to remember all these, so it's better to just like bookmark a hex code creator or manipulator, whatever, a chart, because you're never going to remember hex codes. They're so complicated and it's not worth your time. So just bookmark a good hex code page and forget about it, you know. But thank you, I appreciate that. So if let's see, we come up here. So we got this pink border. Let's make it unset. It's not going to like that. Is it outset? There we go. So we'll do outset with 10 pixels. This is CSS. This is like about as crazy as it gets. So even with CSS, which is a very rudimentary language, you can add this little cool thing called outset, which kind of gives it this like 3D effect. Now, obviously, the effect has been ruined because I've blown it up, but you can see now once I have it here, if I change this to like goldenrod, looks a little more gold, looks like embossed, looks like it's coming out at you. And then if I did something like background color, I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Let's do crimson. This is CSS. The only exception is you're going to be doing this and saving it, and it's going to actually represent your website, whereas I'm just changing this temporarily on this website. But as an example, like the entire web runs off of HTML and CSS, and that's why I'm able to go to any web page I want and change the colors and stuff like this. In addition to that, we should maybe, let's do puppy pictures. If we grab, I know what an image is, thank you. I'm not an Apple guy. I'll just put it that way. Oh, it's a CDN, nice. That means a content delivery network. You guys will probably use a couple CDNs when you start involving JavaScript with HTML and CSS. You might use some CDNs. Bootstrap, that uses a CDN. All you do is you copy and paste the line into your code. Like it's very, very easy. So don't be like scared or anything like that. If we do background image, it doesn't like that because we need a link. No, it didn't work. The reason this didn't work is because in order for this image to load, it would need to send an HTTP request, which is not going to happen until I refresh my browser or I explicitly tell my browser to actually go and fetch that resource. Since I didn't refresh the page, since I didn't actually write any JavaScript to make that call, the page is static and nothing is actually changing. I'm just adding this dummy text for now until the code actually runs to go and fetch that resource. So this isn't like incorrect. As a matter of fact, if I just open up and paste it in, it's still the dog. It's just that since we're not actually querying any network as we're generating this background image, it's just going to come up as being invalid. That's what this means. If I scroll over this, it should tell me. Oh, it said it. I always wonder why they do this. Like, I just saw it. I know I saw it. There we go. Oh, don't move. Invalid property value. So, where am I? Actions. actions. It's a div. It should, maybe because I'm trying to set it from in there. Oh no, it blocks it out right there. Background image, maybe because I'm, oops. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably not going to work, unfortunately. So there's an example of when you would actually need your own like hosted server or whatever to actually serve that image. But now we have a broken website. You can see I didn't change back the margins, and this is what my page looks like. So I have to like zoom all the way out because I gave something over here a margin of like 100. So like everything is squished in this corner now. You see that? But again, these are all local. So I just refreshed the page, and for a second I was like, whoa, what the heck? But then I remembered that's all my CSS right here. So let's comment that out, run it, back to normal. Any final thoughts before you guys head out? I know that this last couple moments, minutes, or whatever was a lot of just overview, but I feel like as we start working towards it, it'll make a little more sense. I just wanted to give you guys some insight into what HTML looks like before we jump right in. So once we get GitHub working and Node and everything, then we can like really start killing it with this stuff tomorrow. And then I'm here all day tomorrow. Like I said, I should be on Slack as long as I'm not busy with my class. You're more than welcome to Slack me. Yeah, otherwise, just keep trying to get through this as best you can. If you get stuck on one, just move on. Like, there's enough, really. I say for this, just find problems that seem fun to you. I know that kind of sounds counterintuitive, right? But like here, if you didn't want to do that, fine. This whole page, I don't expect anybody to complete all this, and this is why. Yeah. You thought I was done? No, I accidentally moved the cursor off the screen. Yeah. Hopefully, yeah, I should have had an epilepsy warning before I did that. But yeah, there's 35 questions on this page. Just you know, test yourself and just find one. Like this one to me, if you pass yo, like I'm like, I don't want to do that, right? So just go to the next one. If you pass hello, it should return what? I'm like, whatever, right? If you pass you, it should return a split up string. I'm like, oh, well, that seems good, right? So now I would try this one. Like, don't feel like you have to do every single problem. If you get stuck, take a break, move on. But yeah, you guys are free to go, unless you have any questions. Yeah, you got it.